In this video, we are going to be talking about the Sony A7S III and why it has been my workhorse since year 2020. This camera is so good. I mean, there's nothing not to like about it. I just love it, and this has been my workhorse for such a long time now, and I trust it so much. So as you can see on the table, there are a lot of things because I tore the setup down so I can show you the breakdown on how I set it up for documentary filming. So this camera is basically my set it and forget it camera. So if I need an A cam to shoot an interview or to film an event on a tripod where I can just leave it and just keep recording, this is the setup that I would use. So just a disclaimer, I am going to be trying to do this whole video in one take. I have an HDMI switcher over here and I have a second camera over there. As you can see, I can switch between two cameras. But yeah, let's begin. So at the heart of this setup, you will be using a cage. So the cage that I have been using is the SmallRig 3667. So this cage right here is compatible not only with the A7S III, but you can use it with the A1 and the A7IV. Okay, so now we're going to attach this cage over here to this camera. So one thing to remember is that there are two main contact points for this cage. At the bottom there is this screw, and on this side there is another contact point. So this is actually removable. You can choose between A7IV, A7S III, or A1, but in this case we're going to use it with the A7S III, which I already attached using this small screw over here. So now we're just going to slide the camera in. So the good thing about this cage is that it has a little tool over here that we can use to tighten the camera onto the cage. So do not tighten this all the way yet because we're going to still screw in this side, the eyelet for the strap before. We're going to screw it onto this, which is good because it gives us another contact point for the camera. So it braces the whole system even more and not just relying on one screw at the bottom to keep it steady. So now that I have both attached, I'm going to slowly tighten things down. And then I'm going to tighten this down. Oh, by the way, don't mind this thing. This is just my notes for setting ISO for S-Log3 and PP off. And after that, I'm going to put back the little tool at the bottom. So now I've attached the cage onto the Sony A7S III. Like what I said before, the good thing about this cage is that it gives you two contact points for the camera, the bottom screw over here, and another screw over here which inserts into the strap eyelet of the camera. This allows it to brace the camera even more because you're going to be putting a lot of weight onto the camera, right? You don't want to have everything be reliant on just one small little screw. So I actually love to use the Sony XLR-H1 with my A7S III, and in this setup I'm going to be showing you how to actually rig it up. So the XLR-H1 not only allows you to plug in two XLR mics, you still retain the 3.5mm, which is already going to be routed to the XLR handle over here. So this allows you to have audio redundancies in the safety tracks, and I just love this thing because it also gives me a physical handle to carry the whole rig with. So to do that, you're going to be needing this one over here. Let me show you on the other camera. So this one right here is called the SmallRig MD4019. I mean, you don't want to slide the XLR handle directly onto the camera because nothing is bracing it. So the MD4019 allows of a more stable connection between the XLR top handle and the A7S III. So we're going to attach the MD4019 onto our SmallRig cage using this connecting point. So here's a pro tip. Do not tighten this down right away. Wait until you attach the XLR-H1. So we're just going to tighten it just enough for it to not keep on jimmying around. So now we're going to slide in our XLR top handle onto the top right here. So now we have two screws over here. We're just going to finger screw them first. And then now we're going to use a flathead to tighten everything down. Okay, so now we've successfully installed the Sony XLR-H1 top handle onto the A7S III. So this in itself is already good enough, but as you can see, the handle is a little bit short because, yeah, it's just how it's made. So SmallRig actually has something that we can use to extend the top handle with, and it is called the SmallRig 3490 XLR extender, which is this one over here. And it also includes the MD4019 top plate, which mounts on top of the whole system. So we're going to attach that and we're going to see how it looks like. So we're going to take this first part of the SmallRig 3490 and we're going to attach it to the bottom like so. We're going to use the included hex key to secure it on. Okay, so as you can see, the top handle now is a lot longer and you gain a little bit of a cold shoe connection over here, so you can drop in a mic over here or any other accessory that you have. So now we have it a little bit longer. So now we're going to attach this part onto this XLR top handle, and this allows it to have more rigidity. It's gonna have a bit more oomph to it, and it's not just gonna be very weak. So because whenever we're attaching a lot of things onto it, you don't want it to be very frail. You want it to be a very strong system. Okay, so now we've attached the SmallRig 3490 XLR extension over here. This allows the whole system to have more rigidity, a little bit more strength to it, because whenever you're attaching accessories, you don't want it to attach directly onto the plastic XLR top handle. So now everything's starting to look good and strong because now we have a better handle and grip to it. So now let's talk about powering the A7S III. So normally you're going to be using an FZ100 battery to power the whole system, right? That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to power it for a longer amount of time, you're going to want to have a different power source. So for some people, I know the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use the USB-C connection over here. So I've found out that if you use a USB-C power source and you have a wireless microphone system over here, you're going to hear a lot of static. So we don't want that. So one way that I figured out on how to power this with is using V-mount battery. So how do we attach a V-mount battery onto the Sony A7S III? So SmallRig makes another product, which is this one over here, which is a V-mount plate. Let me switch to the other angle. So this is a V-mount plate that allows you to attach the camera directly onto the plate. So what do I mean by that? So if I loosen this, you can see that there is a slot here. This goes, the camera goes here with an Arca Swiss plate, and your V-mount battery slots into this. So I love this system over here because this one allows it to move a little bit back if you need more space, and this allows you to use this knob as well to loosen it, and you can lie the plate down. So the good thing about the SmallRig cage for the A7S III is that it has an Arca Swiss reel already installed. So all we need to do is just slide the whole system into this thing. And you're gonna wanna look at the center marker over here and make sure everything is aligned, and then just crank this baby down. So this setup is very beautiful because everything is self-contained. You don't need another rail system at the bottom because now you can just unscrew this, tighten it, and you can attach the V-mount battery directly onto the back. So just in case you're wondering, I can leave links down below as to what parts I've used throughout the whole rig. So this SmallRig VB99 Pro attaches directly onto the back. You'll hear a click, and yeah, it's a very secure connection. It's not gonna go anywhere. So there, remember what I said about this part, you can loosen this, and then you can push the whole system forward or back. So you want the monitor, right? So you can loosen this, bring out the monitor like this, and then put it back like this, push it forward using this railing, and then tighten everything down. Now you can tuck away the screen this way. And how good is that? Now you have a very nice looking setup. Of course, there's some creators out there that make the Cineback, like DSLR video shooter Caleb Pike. I love that guy. I love his creation, but that one is a little bit over my budget. So I don't want to spend so much money on just rigging up my camera. This already works for me, and it's a lot more compact. So now as for the battery, you're going to see at the bottom here that we have the battery slot, right? We're going to remove the battery cover. How do we do that? You just yank down on this. There's a little arrow that you can follow. You just pull it out. Now we're going to be using a DTAP FZ100 battery that looks like this. So what this basically does is that it's a dummy battery with a DTAP at the end of it. It attaches straight onto the camera like so. And now this one, which is DTAP, you can just plug it straight into the back over here. And I know you're wondering, what are you going to do with the excess cable at the back over here? It's very easy. Just loosen this part, lay everything down, and you can tuck the excess cable at the back over here, and just swing this back up and tighten it. Tightening this thing is just very satisfying. Everything is very secure. And voila, you have a very compact looking camera that is being powered infinitely by a V-mount battery. If I were to take it a step further, I would probably buy the VB212 if I were to attach a monitor onto this, or like a HDMI transmitter, so I can send it to my gaffer or my audio guy. So this already works good because I'm usually shooting by myself, other than shooting with Seth sometimes. So additional accessories would be putting a monitor onto this. I don't have a monitor right now, but I am going to show you how to clamp the monitor cable, the HDMI monitor cable, onto the A7S III. So you can get this one over here. This is called the SmallRig 2 FX399 HDMI clamp. So what this does is that you just screw it onto the side over here. Let me switch over again. You just screw it onto the side over here. I'm going to lower this door. I'm going to screw this in here, but do not tighten it yet because we still need to put a cable onto this. So I'm using a cable from Viltrox. This is a very cheap cable that looks nice too. Reminds me of Gerald and Dunn's cable. I hope they didn't copy it. I'm going to leave a link down below. So you're going to slot in the HDMI cable over here. And then now you slowly thumb screw this. And now for a more secure connection, you are going to take a tool that you may or may not have. I'm going to use the SmallRig tool that I already have. I'm going to leave a link down below. And I'm going to crank this down. I'm going to ratchet it down so that my HDMI cable is securely attached onto the A7S III's cage and it doesn't yank the HDMI port out, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to screw it down like this. I love this thing because now you can just ratchet it. And as you can see, this connection over here is going to be a very strong connection. So if you're worried about your HDMI port weakening over time, use one of these HDMI clamps. You're not going to regret it. So now all you need to do is attach a monitor on top of your camera. So where do you put it? So I don't normally like putting the monitor up here. Again, I do not have a monitor to show you right now. So I usually put it down here. So how do you attach that? The top handle extension over here, the support that I just installed, is actually a NATO rail as well. So you can grab a NATO head like this. I'm using one from Leap Light. I like this because it's a lot cheaper than SmallRig's overpriced monitor mounts that are NATO. So I really like NATO connections because all you need to do is just slide everything in. And depending on where you want the monitor, for me, sometimes I want it here. So I'll just tighten it like this. And it's a very secure connection. I like this. It just can tilt forward and it can even rotate like this. So now this cable just plugs straight into the monitor. And you can have another cable plug straight into the V-mount battery over here. So everything, again, is being powered by one battery. So now things are starting to get a little bit heavy and you don't want to just grab everything on the side over here or sometimes the top, right? Depending on your shooting style, you may want a side handle. So for me, I'm going to be using the NITSI side handle over here, which has a NATO attachment over here. So the problem now is, how do we attach the NITSI handle onto the A7S III cage? Because now it's very crowded over here. Like there's a lot of stuff over here. So SmallRig just came out with this thing. It's called the SmallRig 4458 side handle extension. So what this allows you to do is that it allows you to put the handle instead of directly over here. You can have it swing all the way out here. So what the SmallRig 4458 basically is that it allows you to mount this NATO thing onto the cage. So you basically just slot it in like this onto the NATO rail already attached onto the A7S III's cage, and then you just yank this up. It's a very secure connection. So now you have basically offset the NATO rail from here to here, which allows you to now directly attach the NITSI side handle onto the cage. And now you have this. Now your side handle is completely offset from the camera. It's not gonna cause any more problems here because, again, like this side is already so crowded with different accessories, and you get to keep the doors, because I used to remove the doors on my A7S III and I had to put them back because, you know, I was scared of dust and stuff. But hey, I really love this setup because now it allows me to have the side handle all the way out there and I can still support the camera like this, and I can have a more stable grip. So if I'm out and about shooting handheld, I can have one hand over here and one hand over here, and I can monitor everything over here, down here. And all you need to do now is just attach a lens on it. I'm going to be using my favorite lens of all time for shooting my interviews, which is the Helios 44-2. Attach it onto the camera, and yeah, everything is basically set. So rigging this thing has been quite a journey for me. It took me 5 years to get to this point of getting it to work the way I want it, because I used to be that guy who just slaps on whatever looks nice onto my rig. But this is not just aesthetic, it is also functional. It has taken me years to get to this point, to get it like this. I'm super satisfied with the build right now. So yeah, it's up to you what other accessories you want. If you want, you can attach a side strap over here to have a little bit more secure of a secure grip. But yeah, this has been a breakdown on how I use my A7S III for filming documentary shoots, or just set it and leave it kind of camera. I can just set it up like this with a big V-mount battery on a tripod, and I can film an event. I leave it on a tripod unmanned, just filming by itself, because I'm sure that the A7S III will not overheat because it's very reliable. This has been a quick video. Not a quick video, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.